This is what no one tells you about GLP-1s, weight loss, and what to do after weight loss. So you've hit your goal weight, and now what? Most people don't realize that maintenance after weight loss is actually the hardest, most challenging part of the whole journey. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm Jules and I am 54 years old. I have lost over 50 pounds and I've been maintaining that weight loss with the help of a GLP-1. I've been on all of them: Ozempic, Wegovy, compounding tirzepatide, Mounjaro, and now Zepbound. For over 2 years, I've been maintaining a weight of about 113 pounds. I'm 5'1". I'm a mom of 4. I'm married. I got 2 dogs. I work full-time corporate job, and I do this to share my experience, my support, because it is something that has profoundly changed my entire life. So I want to talk to you today about maintenance, how to do it right, what no one else is telling you about it, how to make sure that you are comfortably maintaining that weight, because we are so used to the ups and the downs, that roller coaster, loss, gain, and it's such a mind F that it's time. Like, some of us have just given up on weight loss because we don't want to be doing that thing anymore. I know I did at one point. I was like, screw that. I'd rather just maintain at a higher weight than have these ups and downs constantly. But now I'm in maintenance. I'm at a great weight for my size. I've built muscle, and I'm going to talk to you about the things that you can actually do along with the GLP-1 that will help you to transition when you're ready, or if you're already there, how to deal and manage the maintaining part, which, as I said, is actually the harder part of the whole journey. So here's one of the answers. There is no one size fits all, right? You're gonna have to figure it out for yourself. It's kind of like a menu where you're gonna have to pick what fits for you, and you can throw away the rest if it doesn't fit for you, or maybe tomorrow it could fit and today it doesn't. But it's basically, maintenance is an experiment. And with the GLP-1, most people are going to need to remain on a GLP-1 indefinitely in order to maintain their weight loss. And I have another video on that, but it's approximately 90% of people are going to need it because it's about biology. There are some people that are going to fall into that 10% bucket that are going to be able to go off of it and be fine. But you have to figure out who you are. Are you one of those people that can go off, or are you going to need to remain on it? Either way, if you're going to go off of it, I definitely suggest don't go cold turkey. Titrate down very, very, very slowly. And if you're someone that you say, like me, I have been metabolically dysfunctional from my hormones, my metabolism, insulin resistance, cortisol, like the whole thing, for so many decades, that I'm not willing to put all the work that I put in to lose the weight and throw that away. So I am somebody that's going to need to remain on this indefinitely. And this is how I did it and how I would suggest, so that you have more knowledge going in, because your doctors don't, unless they have studied the GLP-1s in all the trials and the studies and who was successful and how they did it, and have a huge client list, patient list of people that they have worked with. They're not going to really know. So it is up to you to empower yourself with the knowledge to make this decision with your doctor. I would say, do not let your doctor dictate to you what you need to do, because it is your body and only you will know how you feel in your body. Only you know what the food noise is like, how much of an appetite you have, what satiety feels like, cravings. Only you know that. Your doctor doesn't. So you are the person that is going to work with your doctor, but you need to basically know what you're talking about. So when you go into that conversation, the best thing to do is whatever your last dose was on your GLP-1, most people are going to remain on that same dosage. If your goal is to try and titrate down to a different dosage, maybe that's because, just mentally you would be like, oh, I'd rather be on a lower dose, or financially, or whatever the case may be. Or, it could also be you hit your goal weight and you're still losing weight and you're like, I don't need to lose any more weight. And there are some people out there that are like that. I'm not one of them. When I hit my goal weight, I was like, maybe I could lose 5 more pounds, but my body just said, nope, we're done. There was nothing I could do to budge the scale unless I went into like a very deep calorie deficit, which is not going to be maintainable for me long term, and it would just be ridiculous. I would have been starving. So I didn't want to be doing that. So if you want, let's say you ended at 15 milligrams of Zepbound or Mounjaro or tirzepatide, and you're losing weight still. Well, yes, then at that point, you're going to have to figure out going down a dose might be the right thing for you to do weekly, or you could space it out a little bit. People have done that as well. So you can go down or space it out 8, 9, 10 days. I've known people that have spaced their doses out to every 2 weeks, and it works for them. I even know someone that does it every month. I don't know how they do it every month, but they do. That wouldn't have been me. I'll give you me as an example on what I've done. I went to the highest dose of Zepbound, which was 15 milligrams, and then I went down to 12.5. But the reason I went down was I was actually feeling hungrier. I don't know why, but I was feeling hungrier on 15. So I had 12.5 and I went down to the 12.5 and I just felt good there. It just felt normal, comfortable. All my signaling was good. I wasn't getting food noise. I was able to maintain on a weekly schedule. So for me, and this is what works for me, I actually will take my injection anywhere between 6 and 8 days. So there are some weeks when days 4 or 5 will come up and I'll be like really hungry and I'll take my injection at day 6. Then there are other weeks where I'm really good in terms of how I feel, and I can do it 7 days or even 8 days. Usually if I stretch it out, and I've tried to go 10 days, it just didn't feel good to me. It wasn't comfortable. I started getting food noise. I started feeling like excessively hungry. And I know where my maintenance calories are. I know what keeps me steady and what will then cause me to gain weight. So since I do continue to track and know everything, I know what feels good. So you're gonna have to figure that out. And you can keep titrating down and figure out, well, if you ended at 15 and you're someone that could keep going all the way down to 5 or 2.5 and you feel good there, well, that's good. That's great. There's no bonus points. You don't get anything for going down to 2.5 or, it's fine if you stay higher. In fact, in the trials, the trial dosage maintenance are at the higher levels, and they're usually at the levels where people have ended their journeys. So 7, 5, 10, and 15 are the maintenance doses that have been done in the trials. They just skipped over 12.5 for whatever reason. They consider like 12.5 as like a stepping stone. Might have been 5 instead of 7.5, but it's one of those. Anyway, you need to be able to ask yourself these questions when it comes time to titrating down or spacing them apart. Are you suddenly feeling hungrier? Is food noise creeping back in? Are you getting cravings? How is your weight trending in terms of, the scale weight? Is it kind of staying steady within? Now, again, you're going to have a range, right? You're not going to be one number every single day because your body doesn't work that way. So are you within, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, whatever range you give yourself? Is it pretty easy to maintain that range? And you try to kind of just like a little bouncing ball, you're just kind of bouncing between, those 3 or 5 pounds. Those are the things that I look at and I ask myself those questions. The science, again, does show 90% of people will indeed need to remain on a GLP-1 to whatever extent, whatever dosing, whatever schedule. Because again, it's the biology. If you go off of your GLP-1 and you wean down, instead of going off to cold turkey, you kind of wean down, and you're all of a sudden, you see your weight starting to go up, or you're getting super hungry, you know what? There's no shame in going back on it. And in the long run, if you do need to go back on or you need to stay on it, it's going to save your health and your sanity, your mental health, your emotional health, physical. So these are things to think about in terms of long term. Because I know for me, I was kind of an emotional roller coaster when it came to my weight. When my weight was up or down, so were my emotions. And it's very freeing to not have that like up and down feeling anymore. I also know that this is really good for my health long term. It's been out there for over 20 years. It's been studied. People are doing amazing on it. With the lowering of the insulin resistance and creating more insulin sensitivity, I have more energy. I'm just happier. And my goal for today and long term is to be happier, healthier, to be able to give more of myself to other people, this community, my family, my husband, my children. I want to be able to give more of myself and to be able to teach and guide and coach on what has worked or not worked for me when it comes to weight loss and fitness and health. And that also expands into, your mentality and all of your emotions. My desire really is to help people to become the best versions of themselves. And my other goal, because I see this now I'm on this side of the fence, right? 54 years old. My goal is I want to remain independent my whole life. Like, I don't want to have to depend on anyone, least of all my kids, ever. I don't want to put that burden on them. So it is worth it to me to put in the extra effort or energy or whatever it is into myself to take care of myself so that later on down the road, hopefully no one will have to take care of me. So what do we do with regards to nutrition and calories now that we've hit maintenance? Where do we go with this? Well, to lose weight, you're in a calorie deficit, right? You have to be. It's still a calorie deficit. It's an energy, there has to be an energy imbalance, right, for us to lose weight. Now that we're in maintenance basically is energy balance, right? You're at an even keel. So in order to be at maintenance, you need to bring your calories up, because if you're losing weight at a certain level, now you bring your calories up. My suggestion is to do it very slowly so that you don't gain weight, because it can happen on a GLP-1. I could absolutely out-eat my GLP-1 if I really wanted to. So you want to bring your calories up. I would suggest 50 to 100 calories a week, every week, until you get to a point where, maybe you're gaining a little bit, but then you can pull back, right? And it's really easy to lose. If you gain a couple of pounds, it's really easy to lose it. It's not a big deal. So 50 to 100 calories a week until you get to a new maintenance place with your calories. And when you are bringing your calories up, here are the benefits. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be able to work out a little harder. You're going to be able to put more activity into your day because you're going to just have more energy to do it, whether it's walking, running, whatever it is. Also, those NEAT calories, the non-exercise thermogenetics, those are the calories that you burn the most. Those are the calories where you're like, where I'm moving my hands like I'm doing now, you're pacing, maybe you're just like kicking your leg around, like you're just moving because you just have that extra energy. And they've done studies where they've overfed people to see what happens with their bodies. And those people have really kicked up their NEAT calories to compensate for it, and they don't gain weight because they end up just like twitching around a lot more and doing a lot more. So when you think about it, when you're in a really deep calorie deficit, you're tired, you lack energy, you don't really want to do anything. You want to just sit on the couch or lay down or take a nap, right? Like you don't want to move because your body's saying, well, you don't have enough calories. We're going to now downregulate your metabolism. We don't want you to move. But when you start getting more calories, then all of that picks up, including brain energy. So all of that will pick up. And you're going to have better hair, better skin. I've noticed even in myself from the time that I hit goal weight, which has been over almost 2.5 years at this point until now, my face looks better, my skin looks better. I mean, I have been using a new skincare product over the last several months, which I'll talk about in another video. And I think that also has helped a lot, but I just think that my skin and my hair is looking so much better than it was when I was in a continuous calorie deficit. Mood-wise, yeah, my moods are definitely up higher, more stable. I'm just like excited for life. I'm so excited. I wake up every morning and I am excited to start my day. Usually Monday, Tuesdays, I'm not so excited necessarily, but now I am. I'm excited to start my days and get my workouts in, and it feels really good. When food becomes your fuel, it's no longer punishment. It's no longer about restriction. It's just, this is the food I eat and I enjoy it, but it also fuels my body and it nourishes me, and I can see how it's working in my body now. It's working for me, not against me anymore. So that's the way it used to be. It used to be like, oh my God, if I went out to eat one night, the next day or whatever, like the scale would be up 5 pounds. Like, where is this coming from? But I know now that because I've now hit maintenance and I'm staying in this maintenance mode, I'm more metabolically flexible. I can go out to eat. I can indulge a little bit once in a while. And you know what? My body just acclimates to it. It just works with what I'm getting in. Because if I eat a lot one day, and there are days when, like my maintenance calories right now again, everyone there's gonna be different. My maintenance calories are about 1,500 to 1,600. But there are days when I will go up to 2,000 or even 2,200 because I'm really hungry, or maybe I, indulged in something. But I also find the next day, I usually naturally, my body just doesn't want to eat as much. And I'll be honest, those days when I'm super hungry and I eat a lot, sometimes it scares me a little because in the past, that would just be unending. That high appetite would just be day after day after day. And I would have to just mentally like pull myself back and be like, oh no, I can't eat that much, even though I'm really hungry. And it scares me because I get that super hungry feeling and it reminds me of those days. But then the next day, my body just naturally is like, yeah, we're just not as hungry anymore. And then I'll hit like 1,300 calories and be comfortable. And over the course of a week, I'll look at my calories over the course of the whole week, and there'll be days of 1,300 and days of 2,000, 2,200, but it all kind of balances out into that 1,500, 1,600. And I think that's normal. I think that's the way lean people eat. So I see that with my husband. He's a naturally lean, thin person who's actually looking to put muscle on. So he's on the opposite side of things now. Now he's like tracking his calories because he's trying to hit 3,500 calories or something. Keep in mind he's 6 feet tall, but he's trying to hit a certain calorie threshold to put muscle on and accommodate his workouts. But one of the things I noticed about him, he's very active, just naturally. He loves to move, but he'll also sit at his computer, for work. I don't sit ever, but he'll sit there, but then he's very, very active. He's skateboarding, surfing. Now he's lifting weights to put muscle on. So I noticed that he has a harder time putting muscle on because his body's just so used to staying at a certain weight. So he kind of has the opposite problem, if you call it a problem, which I don't. But anyway, so fitness goals and maintenance. Let's look at that. Here's the shift with that. You're no longer focused on shrinking your body and getting smaller. Now it's about getting stronger, right? So now the focus is really on building muscle, building strength. So if you haven't started strength training, or if you're in a strength training program while you're losing weight, which is ideal to maintain muscle, and you can even build muscle while you're losing weight. Yes, you can. Now, though, is the time to really take your mind and focus on progressive overloading, on getting stronger, and looking at your body in terms of how much strength you could get in, as well as your daily step count. So maybe you can add some more steps into just your normal, everyday, this is what I do activity level. Because the movement, it almost matters more in maintenance, I think, than in the losing weight. Losing weight, when it comes to that, nutrition is going to be, I know a lot of people say 80%. I'm going to say the nutrition, the calorie deficit part is, I personally think it's closer to 90%. And movement still matters in losing weight, but I don't think it matters as much as we think. So I'm going to say losing weight is more 90% nutrition and the movement and all of that is like 10%. But maintenance, again, it all matters, but I think movement matters more in maintenance. It's going to really help the insulin sensitivity, building muscle, strength, energy, and it will also help to regulate your appetite and satiety signaling, which is also really important. You still need that even with a GLP-1 helping you out. So better performance, faster recovery by eating more, the strength is going to come. And this also is during maintenance phase. This is where I got my pull-ups for the first time. This is where I started focusing on what is my body capable of doing now. I'm lighter, and now I need to figure out what are my new goals, because getting smaller isn't one of them. Having the scale moving down, that's gone as well, which is kind of disappointing because it's super fun when you see the scale continuously going down. It's like victory and elation, and it's cool and it's fun. But now your mind has to change a little bit. So let's talk about mindset and the emotional shifts. So the hard part is maintenance kind of messes with your head. When I say that, I mean that when you're losing weight, the scale gives you that reward, that dopamine hit. You know what I'm talking about, as you see look, I would be victorious if it was a pound off, even half a pound. I was like, I get super excited. More than that would be like, whoa, that's, crazy. My first week of being on a GLP-1, and I just looked back because now we're going back to September 2022, and I had just looked at my notes. My first week of being on a GLP-1, I lost a little over 4 pounds. That's insane. It didn't stay that way. After that, it probably averaged between half a pound and 2 pounds at the most. There were some weeks that I put on gained a half a pound or whatever. I didn't see that as a gain. To me, that was sort of like a plateau for that particular week. On average though, it probably averaged between half a pound and 2 pounds. But that first week was amazing. And now maintenance, you don't get that anymore. So, you have to be able to accommodate those ups and downs with the scale and know that it's not a reflection necessarily of anything you're doing wrong, because if you're being super consistent most of the time, the scale is going to bounce up and down a little bit, and that's okay. No more dopamine hits on the scale, no more instant gratification. It also can be really scary. I was so fearful of putting the weight back on. I was filled with such anxiety the first 6 months of being in maintenance. I literally would have dreams at night that I would wake up in the morning and be back in my old body, my older, bigger body, pre-weight loss body. And I would wake up in the morning and feel that way. And then I would remember that was a dream and I'm in this new body. I would also have dreams of me eating things that I don't really eat anymore, like cake or cookies or an ice cream sundae or something that was just so far removed from the things that I eat now. And in my dream, I would feel terrible eating it. And then I'd wake up and I'd feel awful. And I remember, no, that's not me anymore. I don't do that. And the fear is real because maintaining has not been something that I've really ever been able to do. I looked back at pictures of myself from the time that I was a teenager through my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, and now my 50s. My weight literally bounced around. Again, I'm 5'1". My highest weight when I was pregnant with my twins, I had hit 194, I believe it was. Again, I was pregnant. So my highest weight when I was not pregnant was around 175. And that fills me with like an awfulness. Like when you're 5'1", that's a lot of extra weight. And I was in my 20s then. But I literally bounced around on the scale, and every, 5 years I was at a different weight. There were pictures I look back on in my mid 30s, late 30s, where I'm like, oh, I look pretty good there. I thought I looked terrible, or I felt terrible my entire adult life. But then 5 years after that, and boom, I put more weight on. So it was just this constant cycle. We need to get off of that roller coaster and feel safe in our bodies and feel that security. And it just takes time. So yeah, that first 6 months of maintenance, definitely scary. I definitely was filled with a lot of anxiety, and it just takes time. I still have that from time to time. I'm almost about 2.5 years into maintenance at this point, and I am definitely feeling more secure within my body. I'm definitely getting that sense of I'm here to stay, but I know that I'm not complacent. I know that cannot happen, because complacency for me, or forgetfulness, or not being mindful or intentional about the things I'm doing, could take me back to where I was, and I don't ever want to go back there again, because it's a lot of work to be heavier. It's a lot of work because you just don't feel good about yourself. Like I just didn't feel good. Like, and the habits that I had, I don't want to go back to those old habits. I would have cookies every single night. There was just so many bad habits that I, had and used food as a coping mechanism, or used sugar or chocolate or whatever, or carbohydrates. That was my go-to as a way of comforting myself, or a way of giving myself a reward. Like, I don't do that anymore. And I feel really good about not doing that. I do other things for myself. I'll go for a walk. I'll go work out. I'll go get my nails done. I'll reward myself in non-food things. And I'll still take enjoyment from food. I still enjoy getting takeout or going out to eat, or, knowing that my taste buds have changed as well, which is like remarkable. I was the poster child for being a chocoholic, being a sugarholic my entire life, since the time I was a child. And I haven't had added sugar, a dessert, anything since 2022. And to me, that's insanely crazy. I mean, I couldn't go without sugar for more than maybe a week. So, and also alcohol. I gave up alcohol. Will that be forever? I don't know, maybe. But for now and today, that's the choice that I've made, and I feel amazing. I have not had added alcohol since 2022. I have not had alcohol since 2022, and I feel great. I'm like, I don't need it. I feel amazing. I no longer feel bloated or fatigued, or, alcohol really does get in the way of weight loss, and it gets in the way of weight maintenance. For me, I just feel so much better without it. And I know that from a health perspective, it wasn't doing me any favors. But when I was drinking as a social drinker, was it fun? Yeah, it was fun to go out with friends and have that drink and whatever. But you know what? I'm having a heck of a lot more fun now, to be honest. So those are some of the things that have changed that keep me going in maintenance. Let's talk about body dysmorphia, because I definitely had that. And I think it's pretty normal. So for the longest time, and your brain, it just does not always catch up with your body, and that it's just going to take time, I think. And I think it's normal, because there was so many, and even now, I'll look at pictures even now, pictures or videos, or catch myself in a mirror, or walking through a store, and I'm like, is that me? Holy cow, I really am small. But I don't feel that way. I still feel like I'm this other person, because I've lived in this other body for so many decades before being this. I've never been this small, ever. Maybe for a hot second in high school, but literally a hot second. Outside of that, probably going back to elementary school. So I'm not used to this body at all. I'm not used to the clothes that fit this body. And even today, it still feels weird, but in a good way. I love it, but it still doesn't, I'm still not used to it. And I've lived in this body now, this smaller body, for 2.5 years. But initially, yeah, I did not feel that way at all. And it does take time for your brain to catch up. Our bodies remember what we were, and they do fight us. And they've done studies on this to try to get us back to a higher number. So I believe the longer that we're in maintenance, the more our bodies will finally go, okay, I feel comfortable here. This is our new normal. We're good. And I think that the appetite satiety signaling kind of like regulates a little bit more, at least for me. Because I had days in maintenance where I was just starving, and I did kind of have to put some more restraints around myself so that I wasn't gaining weight. But I find now that if I am really, really hungry, I can eat something in the morning, and it really, something small, and it just fills me up. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm full. I'm good. I can move on with my day and I can think about other things. Because back in the day, I would just always be hungry. So I would eat, I'd be super hungry, I'd eat something. I have to tell myself, okay, you need to stop eating. I'd still be hungry. And then I'd be like, all right, your next meal is at, okay, it's now 10:30. I had a snack. You can have lunch at 12:30, 1 o'clock. Like, I would have to be thinking about it just constantly all the time. And now I don't. It's an incredible freedom. I also want to talk about what other people are going to say, because you may be in a situation where you could get comments that could come from your significant other, your kids, friends, coworkers, who knows, where people might comment and say, hey, when are you going to stop losing weight? Or you're looking too skinny, or something of that nature. And my answer to that really is none of anyone else's business. It really is not. As long as you're healthy and between you and your doctor, you're healthy, then it's really no one's business but yours. It is your body and it is your health journey. And whatever the reasons are for them saying that, it could be jealousy, it could be concern. Like, look, there are some people who go a little bit overboard and they get a little bit too thin, and then they kind of have to go, all right, maybe I lost a little too much muscle and I really need to start building that muscle back. Because that to me is, if you lose too much weight, you're probably losing too much muscle. So most people aren't really gonna lose too much body fat, the vast majority. It's the muscle that gets wasted, that gets lost, that you really need. That is the focus. That's what you don't want to lose. But the whole, you look too skinny and all that stuff, I think a lot of people are just not used to seeing us being smaller, or they've never seen us smaller. And they're so used to us being, larger, right? And that's what they're accustomed to. So if you're thinner to them, they might think, wow, that might be a little too thin, or that's not something healthy. But so just be prepared. If someone has something to say, what your answer is going to be. And you don't have to be mean about it or anything. If someone does say anything, you can be very nice about it and go, oh no, I'm at a healthy weight, or however you want to respond to that makes you feel comfortable. And, hey, thanks for your concern. I'm very healthy though, I do multiple pull-ups, I can do push-ups, I can, run a fast mile, like there's other ways of measuring health as well. So just know that you may need to set some boundaries with certain people. If they're not comfortable with your weight loss or what you're looking at, what you look like to them, that is their issue, their own discomfort, whatever is going on. Maybe it's a reflection that says to them something they're not doing that they want to be doing or wish they could be doing. So oftentimes people's comments, I think, are more of a reflection of themselves and not really what you look like. So just protect your own peace, your own emotions. Again, your health's between you and your doctor, and not for the peanut gallery. So let's talk about some practical tips that you can implement during maintenance. So these are very practical tips, habits of things that people who have been in maintenance, who have lost a significant amount of weight and have been in maintenance, do to keep themselves there. And it's what I've personally done as well, and what I recommend. If you're gonna stay on that GLP-1, figure out whatever your dose is and what your scheduling is and stick to it and be consistent. If you're not consistent on your GLP-1, that's gonna mess with all of the signaling and the biology. So I am super consistent. I still, to this day, will put a reminder in my phone and set an alarm every week on when to take my shot. Even though I know it's in my head, and I've been doing it now for 3 years because I started in September 2022, I still do that every week because I don't want to forget. For some reason, it absolutely can happen. I know sometimes people do. And this is a surefire way of not forgetting. So put it in your phone. you are going to want to weigh yourself on a regular basis because you want to be able to know your weight before it gets out of control. For me, I weigh myself every day. I have disconnected my emotions from the scale for the most part. I'm not going to say it's 100%, but I would say 95 to 97% I'm disconnected from it. And I just use it as a data point, and it's not an emotional roller coaster for me. You know, from 113 one day, great. If another day I'm 115, that's fine. Like, it's water fluctuation. If I'm getting to 117, for me, that's an alarm bell going, I have to do something different. I got to pull back a little bit because I don't want that number to get up to 120. I don't want to be 7 pounds over my goal weight. 3-5 pounds, I'm okay with that. So weigh yourself on a regular basis. That kind of keeps you in line, keeps you accountable to yourself. And that could be daily or it could be weekly, whatever schedule, but make it some sort of schedule so you know. Because back in the day when I didn't weigh myself, I was scared and I would use my clothing as measurement. Yeah, that doesn't work because within at least for me, within clothes, you could fluctuate 10 or 15 pounds and still wear the same clothes, right? Those clothes could go from being loose to being like, I could just about get them on and button them up and okay, they still fit. And I would tell myself that. So, you know, clothing, I do have some clothing that at this size is a little bit, it fits, but there's really no room for weight gain. And I'll kind of use that also as a measurement tool to say, well, if I can't get this on, that's going to be a problem for me. And again, keep taking pictures and measurements. I think those are all important things to keep you on track for maintenance. So tracking your food, I think, is very important. I still track my food. It's just a habit. It's an everyday thing. It's not a big deal. I pretty much eat the same things all the time anyway. This ensures that I get my protein in. I'm within, my calories. But again, if I'm really hungry, I'll eat more. I'll just keep tracking it though. Like if my calories for the day are that 15 or 1600, but I'm really hungry and I'll eat more, no problem. And I'll go to whatever, 2000, 2200, but I'm still tracking everything so that I keep myself accountable and I know where I'm at. Again, it's to make sure I don't want to get out of control or let something get out of control. So I keep tracking that. Also, there needs to be some non-negotiables. And for me, I walk every day and I strength train at least 5 days a week. Those are my non-negotiables. Hydration, I make sure I get my water in. That's also a non-negotiable. And sleep for me has also become a non-negotiable. I make sure I'm very consistent. I have a sleep routine at night and I have one in the morning. It's simple, and I make sure I get my sleep in because that contributes to everything in either positive or a negative way. And then the last thing is I really keep kind of an eye on my stress and emotions because life is gonna life, right? And things are gonna happen, and I need coping mechanisms to deal with the stress and anxieties and all the shit that life is gonna give us. And it's not going to be, food is not a way to deal with it. It has to be a different way to deal with when it comes to that stuff. So don't let the stress and all that crap get you down and go back to your old coping mechanisms or relying on food to get you through. Really be diligent and find other ways of coping. So maintenance, it is possible. I am an example of it. I hope that I'm talking to you in another 2.5 years of maintenance, so that I'll be at 5 years of maintenance at that point, and on and on and on to say, hey, look where I am right now. It is absolutely possible. I never thought I could do this. The GLP-1 has been a freaking game changer, and I would not be able to do this without the GLP-1, and I'm okay with that, and I'm going to stay on it indefinitely. Just remember, dosage is very individual. And there's no good or bad dosage. You don't get any rewards for staying low or high or whatever. It's whatever works for you as an individual because no one's in your body. Nobody knows how you feel but you. And make sure that you just keep an eye on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Feed yourself nutritious foods and get strong and stay active and be mindful of things. Let me know in the comments, are you entering into maintenance? Are you thinking about it? Are you in maintenance right now? What have I missed? What are things that are working for you in maintenance that you didn't hear? All advice and guidance and things that work will help others as well. And if you found this video to be helpful, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends or family that need some help when it comes to moving from weight loss into the maintenance phase. It is possible, and I want to encourage everybody. It's normal to be scared. It's normal to be fearful of it, but just move with those emotions and just keep doing what you've been doing, and you will be there and you will stay there and you will be able to feel so good about yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Stay strong.